The galaxy is vast, teeming with countless civilizations, each with their own ambitions, fears, and struggles. Among them, the Zilrath are a proud but desperate species. Once a flourishing empire of technological innovation and rich culture, their world has been brought to its knees by a sudden and devastating uprising. A rebel faction, armed with stolen weapons and radical ideology, has plunged their home system into chaos. Unable to quell the rebellion through conventional means, the Zilrath are forced to send out a desperate SOS, a plea for help broadcast across every known communication channel in the galaxy. The signal cuts through the cosmic noise, a beacon of distress piercing the void. It reaches the ears of many, but only a few choose to respond. Among them are the human scouts stationed at the edge of known space, far from the bustling trade hubs and diplomatic centers. These humans are not the polished diplomats or peacekeepers, often imagined in galactic lore. They are Deathworlders, hardened survivors from one of humanity's most brutal colonies, a planet forged by relentless natural disasters, poisonous atmospheres, and savage wildlife. Their people have thrived by adapting, fighting, and evolving to survive the deadliest environments known to the galaxy. The human scouts debate the nature of the signal. Galactic protocols, established by centuries of cautious diplomacy, advise caution and restraint. Other species warn against rushing to intervene in another civilization's internal conflict. But the Deathworlders see opportunity where others see risk. To them, the SOS is not just a call for help. It is a mistake, a weakness to be exploited. The humans dispatch a fleet, an imposing armada of warships and battle-hardened soldiers, prepared not for peacekeeping, but for overwhelming force. Their commanders are pragmatic and cold, trained in the art of survival and war. The fleet moves swiftly through the dark corridors of space, leaving behind whispers among the stars. Humanity has arrived, and where humans tread, firepower follows. The human fleet approaches the Zilrath homeworld. The alien inhabitants watch with a mixture of hope and fear. They expect allies, saviors who will help them crush their rebels and restore order. Instead, they see ships bristling with weaponry, crewed by warriors whose eyes reflect the unforgiving landscapes of their Deathworld origins. The humans do not offer comfort or diplomacy. They bring judgment. The story begins to explore the contrast between the alien expectations and human reality. The Zilrath see themselves as victims deserving aid. The humans see a broken system ripe for decisive intervention. The SOS, intended as a humble plea, becomes a beacon inviting humanity's wrath instead of mercy. Throughout this first part, the tone is set for the story's themes: the brutal pragmatism of Deathworlders, the misunderstandings that ignite conflict, and the consequences of a single critical mistake in a galaxy full of powerful players. The humans' arrival is not a hopeful rescue but a game changer, signaling that old rules of diplomacy and mercy may no longer apply. This initial encounter will ripple across the galaxy, reshaping alliances, igniting fears, and setting the stage for a confrontation where survival and dominance come at a devastating cost. The human fleet emerges from the void near the Zilrath home system with deliberate precision and cold efficiency. Their warships, sleek, heavily armed, and built for brutal effectiveness, cast long shadows over the alien world below. Unlike the usual cautious approach expected by galactic diplomacy, the humans make no secret of their intent. This is not a humanitarian mission. This is a military operation. As the humans descend into orbit, the Zilrath leadership gathers anxiously on their command bridge. The alien rulers had hoped for aid, an alliance to help them crush the rebels and restore peace to their fractured society. Instead, they find themselves facing a fleet that radiates overwhelming power and a stark message: humans are here to assert control, not to negotiate. The first moments of contact are tense. Human commanders make no grand speeches or promises of alliance. They send a message instead: calm, direct, and without diplomacy. The humans demand access to the Zilrath rebel zones for assessment and swift action. They want to understand the scale of the threat quickly, without political distractions or drawn-out debates. The Zilrath, caught off guard by this brazen approach, reluctantly grant permission. They underestimate the humans' speed and ruthlessness, assuming the humans will tread carefully, honoring traditional codes of engagement. But the humans are Deathworlders, warriors forged in the fires of unforgiving planets where hesitation equals death. Human teams descend rapidly to rebel-controlled territories, utilizing advanced reconnaissance drones and ground troops trained to operate in hostile, unpredictable environments. Their assessment is quick and brutally honest. The rebels, while disruptive and dangerous, are not the galaxy-shattering menace the Zilrath portrayed them to be. The rebels are a fragmented, disorganized faction relying on guerrilla tactics and stolen weaponry, not a coordinated force capable of toppling a civilization. Yet instead of treating this as a mere internal conflict, the humans see opportunity. To them, this situation is a test of strength and resolve. The humans recognize the weakness of the Zilrath leadership's control and the vulnerability of their system. This is the perfect moment to impose order, human order, through overwhelming force. The story explores the contrast between alien expectations of diplomacy and the humans' harsh reality. While the Zilrath hoped for negotiations and aid, the humans see rebellion as a threat to be extinguished with precision and unyielding power. This difference in mindset foreshadows the brutal actions to come. Meanwhile, on the human ships, commanders discuss strategy with cold pragmatism. They weigh the tactical advantages of a swift, ruthless strike versus prolonged negotiations that might weaken their position. The Deathworlder mentality prevails. Survival and dominance come first. Mercy is a luxury they cannot afford. Other species in the galaxy begin to take notice as the human fleet broadcasts their presence and intentions. Whispers circulate about humanity's arrival. Some see potential allies, others see dangerous predators. The tension between diplomacy and aggression escalates as the humans prepare to act decisively. This part of the story sets the tone for humanity's role as disruptors of the established galactic order. The arrival and assessment phase marks the beginning of a shift from cautious diplomacy to outright military dominance. It highlights humanity's pragmatic and ruthless approach to threats, shaped by survival on some of the galaxy's harshest worlds. By the end of this part, the stage is set for conflict. The humans have made their position clear. They will not negotiate endlessly. They will enforce order by any means necessary. Following the swift assessment of the rebel threat, the humans don't waste time. Their cold pragmatism translates into action. An ultimatum is delivered to the Zilrath leadership. The message is clear and uncompromising. Either the Zilrath suppress the rebels immediately with decisive force, or the humans will intervene directly, using the full might of their Deathworlder fleet. This ultimatum shakes the fragile Zilrath leadership. They are a species accustomed to negotiation and diplomacy, but now they face a force unlike any they've encountered. The humans, hardened by survival on brutal Deathworlds, operate on a different level of ruthlessness and efficiency. The Zilrath must quickly decide whether to accept this hard demand or risk complete destruction. Desperation fuels their decision. Unable to muster enough strength on their own and unwilling to provoke humanity's wrath, the Zilrath attempt to negotiate, hoping to temper the humans' aggressive stance. They plead for mercy and propose joint operations to resolve the rebellion, promising swift action without the need for human-led strikes. But humanity's response is cold and unyielding. The Deathworlder commanders have no patience for diplomacy when it risks prolonging conflict. To them, hesitation and weakness are dangerous. The Zilrath's negotiations are seen not as attempts at peace, but as stalling tactics that endanger order. Ignoring these pleas, the humans begin targeted strikes on rebel bases. Their attacks are swift, surgical, and devastating, destroying supply lines, command centers, and infrastructure critical to the rebel faction. This display of overwhelming firepower shocks the galaxy. Alien observers watch in horror as what began as a minor rebellion becomes the stage for human military might unleashed without mercy. The humans' tactics reflect their harsh origins. Trained to survive Deathworld conditions, extreme environments where every decision can mean life or death, their combat style is brutal but effective. They prioritize efficiency and dominance, refusing to let rebels regroup or gain any advantage. Inside the Zilrath capital, fear grows. Leaders realize they've underestimated humanity's resolve and capacity for destruction. The rebellion, initially a threat to their own rule, now becomes a pretext for a larger human crackdown. Civilians and non-combatants suffer as collateral damage. Humanity's Deathworlder mindset regards such losses as unfortunate but necessary. Across the galaxy, this aggressive intervention sends ripples of alarm. Other species debate humanity's rising power. Some condemn the Deathworlders' ruthless methods. Others admire their unflinching strength. The Galactic Council, the governing body of interstellar diplomacy, issues warnings and calls for restraint. But humanity's actions have already shifted the balance. The story in this part also delves into cultural contrasts. While many alien species prioritize negotiation, compromise, and patience, humans from Deathworld colonies are shaped by a brutal reality. Survival demands swift, absolute action. This clash of values drives the narrative tension. As the humans press their advantage, rebel forces are pushed into retreat or annihilation. The Zilrath leadership, caught between their own rebels and the overwhelming might of the human fleet, face collapse. They are forced to confront a new galactic reality, one where humanity will no longer be ignored or pitied, but feared. By the end of this part, the warning has been clearly ignored. Mercy is not humanity's way. The Deathworlders have drawn a line in the stars, and those who cross it will face unrelenting firepower. This sets the stage for the escalation to come, with the galaxy's political landscape forever altered. With diplomacy abandoned and the Zilrath leadership unable to rein in the rebellion, the humans escalate their campaign. What began as warnings and surgical strikes now turns into a full-scale offensive. The Deathworlders do not just fight, they unleash a relentless barrage of firepower, demonstrating why humanity's reputation as the galaxy's most brutal survivors is well earned. The humans deploy their fleet's full capabilities. Warships bristling with advanced weaponry surround rebel strongholds, bombarding them with precision strikes that flatten infrastructure and eradicate fortified positions. Long-range artillery, plasma cannons, and swarm drones work in unison, ensuring that no rebel hideout remains secure. On the ground, Deathworlder soldiers execute coordinated assaults unlike anything the galaxy has seen. Trained on some of the deadliest planets known, these warriors use guerrilla tactics, relentless pressure, and brutal close-quarters combat. Their armor is engineered to withstand extreme environments, their weapons optimized for lethality and efficiency. The rebels, once confident in their ability to resist, find themselves overwhelmed. Human tactics combine raw firepower with psychological warfare. The sudden and merciless destruction of their bases sows fear and chaos. Many rebels surrender or flee, but those who resist face total annihilation. The Zilrath leadership watches helplessly as their system is torn apart. Civilian casualties rise, cities burn, and the scars of battle mark the planets. The humans show no mercy, viewing any hesitation or restraint as weakness that will only prolong conflict. Meanwhile, the wider galaxy reacts with a mix of shock, fear, and awe. News of humanity's devastating assault spreads rapidly. Other alien species who once dismissed humans as primitive or disorganized now recognize the lethal precision and unyielding will of the Deathworlders. The Galactic Council debates possible responses, but many members hesitate, challenging humanity risks, triggering a brutal and unforgiving retaliation. The story highlights the cultural chasm between humanity and other galactic races. While many civilizations value diplomacy, negotiation, and minimizing casualties, humanity's Deathworld heritage prioritizes survival above all else. Their approach is pragmatic and ruthless. Conflict ends when the enemy is destroyed or broken, completely. Through vivid battle scenes and tense strategic decisions, the narrative shows how humanity's arrival has transformed a local rebellion into a galaxy-wide event. The Deathworlders' firepower does not just defeat rebels, it sends a message to every corner of space. Humans will not tolerate threats to order and will respond with overwhelming force. As the assault continues, internal conflicts arise among the Zilrath. Some factions advocate surrender and cooperation, with humans to save what remains. Others call for desperate last-ditch resistance. The once united alien civilization fractures further, unable to withstand the combined pressures of rebellion and human invasion. The humans, meanwhile, maintain a cold detachment. Their commanders monitor progress, adjusting tactics to maximize efficiency and minimize their own losses. Mercy and compassion are alien concepts in their strategy. They operate under the brutal logic of Deathworld survival. Only the strongest endure. By the end of this part, the Zilrath system is effectively subdued. Rebel resistance is crushed, and the shattered remnants of their civilization must come to terms with humanity's ruthless intervention. The Deathworlders have not only won the battle, they have reshaped the galaxy's power dynamics. This climax sets the stage for the coming fallout. The galaxy must reckon with humanity's wrath and the consequences of answering an SOS from Deathworlders who respond not with aid, but with annihilation. The once proud Zilrath home system now lies in ruins. The relentless firepower unleashed by the humans has left cities reduced to rubble, key infrastructure shattered, and the social fabric of the Zilrath civilization irreparably damaged. What was initially a plea for help has become a battlefield littered with the consequences of humanity's ruthless intervention. The aftermath is grim, both for the survivors and the galaxy watching in stunned silence. In the immediate wake of the conflict, the human fleet maintains a tight grip on the system. Their presence is not benevolent occupation, but a firm assertion of control. The Deathworlders' approach to victory is clear. Subjugate completely or risk the chaos of rebellion, reigniting. To the humans, mercy is a liability. Order must be absolute. The Zilrath leaders, once confident in their civilization's strength, are now fractured and desperate. Some plead for mercy, hoping to negotiate terms to salvage what remains of their society. Others, embittered by the destruction and loss, call for resistance, vowing that the humans will never rule their world. This internal division deepens the chaos, turning survivors against one another and eroding any chance of unified recovery. Among the common Zilrath populace, resentment toward humanity festers. To many, the humans are not saviors but conquerors. Their arrival a catastrophic turning point. The Deathworlders' unrelenting tactics, while effective militarily, have fostered deep-seated hatred and fear. This sets the stage for long-term conflict and rebellion, an endless cycle born from a single misunderstood SOS. The galaxy at large reacts to the fallout with a mix of shock, condemnation, and cautious recalibration. The Galactic Council convenes emergency sessions to address the repercussions. Many member species denounce humanity's brutal methods, fearing the precedent it sets. However, others acknowledge that the humans have displayed a level of strength and decisiveness absent in many galactic powers, inspiring both awe and trepidation. Some alien civilizations begin reassessing their own defenses and diplomatic policies, wary that any perceived weakness might invite similar treatment. The human response to the SOS sends a clear, chilling message. In this new galactic order, power and survival come first, and mercy is optional. Meanwhile, within human ranks, there is little celebration. The Deathworlders are pragmatic. Victory is survival, not glory. Commanders focus on consolidating control, repairing their fleet, and preparing for potential retaliations or diplomatic fallout. They understand that the galaxy will not forget this display of force easily. The story also explores the psychological and moral toll on individuals, both human and Zilrath. Some human soldiers wrestle with the brutality of their mission, while others embrace it fully, their hardened upbringing on Deathworlds leaving little room for doubt. For the Zilrath survivors, grief and anger fuel a growing resistance underground, promising future conflict. Importantly, this part serves as a narrative turning point. The initial mistake, the Zilrath's desperate SOS, has triggered a cascade of events transforming humanity's role in the galaxy. No longer just isolated survivors, humans have emerged as a dominant, feared power, shaping the future through overwhelming firepower and unflinching will. The final scenes of this part hint at the brewing storm ahead. the Zilrath resistance, begins regrouping, forging alliances with other alien factions disturbed by humanity's actions. The Deathworlders, aware that their arrival has changed galactic dynamics forever, prepare for a future where war and politics will be harsher than ever. The devastating aftermath of humanity's intervention in the Zilrath system ripples far beyond the shattered worlds themselves. The galaxy has witnessed something unprecedented, an unyielding display of raw power from a species forged in the harshest Deathworld environments. This final chapter explores how that event reshapes galactic politics, alliances, and the collective memory of civilizations throughout the stars. In the years following the conflict, the Zilrath civilization struggles to rebuild amid scars both physical and psychological. The war has fractured their society irreparably, with deep divisions between those who wish to collaborate with humans for survival and those who seethe with a desire for vengeance. The resistance movements that emerged in the shadows begin to organize more effectively, fueled by stories of human ruthlessness and determination. For many Zilrath, humanity has become a symbol of unstoppable wrath. Beyond the Zilrath system, other alien species take note. Some attempt to build stronger defenses and forge tighter alliances, fearing that their own worlds might face a similar fate. Others attempt diplomatic outreach toward humanity, seeking to understand the Deathworlder mindset and avoid conflict through careful negotiation. Yet, many in the galaxy remain wary. Humanity's brand of justice is seen as absolute and often brutal, and their reputation as Deathworlders makes potential enemies think twice before crossing them. The Galactic Council itself undergoes significant change. Witnessing humanity's rise, the Council debates whether its traditional frameworks of diplomacy and peacekeeping are adequate to address a new reality. Some factions push for reforms aimed at containing or balancing human influence, while others argue that humanity's pragmatism and strength could be assets in maintaining galactic order, if properly guided. The humans themselves do not celebrate their newfound status as galaxy-wide power brokers. Instead, they prepare for the uncertain future ahead. Their survivalist ethos, shaped by generations on brutal planets, drives them to maintain vigilance. They know their actions have made enemies, and the galaxy will not forget the day the Deathworlders answered an SOS with overwhelming force. Throughout this part, the narrative emphasizes the theme of legacy. How a single miscalculation, a desperate plea for aid from the Zilrath, triggered a cascade of events altering the galactic balance forever. It reflects on the costs of survival and the price of power in a universe where strength is often the only language understood. The story also explores individual perspectives, giving voice to key figures among both humans and aliens. Some human commanders reflect on the burden of wielding such devastating power responsibly, while alien diplomats grapple with how to coexist with a species that operates on fundamentally different survival instincts. These personal stories highlight the complexity beneath the epic scale of galactic conflict. Finally, the chapter ends on a note of tension and anticipation. The galaxy is forever changed, fearful, uncertain, but also alive with new possibilities. Humanity has made its mark, but the future remains unwritten. Alliances will shift, battles will be fought, and the true test of Deathworlder resilience and diplomacy lies ahead.